Good morning, all of my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. I'm here with hip hop music for you of some variety. It's not hip hop, it's just like, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Here we are, working on the same thing we were working on last night. I'm going to work on this for a minute or two, and then we're going to move on to something else, I think. But for right now, I'm still trying to figure out this last little piece. Really, I don't think it's going to. Now, I do want the ability to go all the way forward. All right. So one of the things I'm doing here is I'm building the, um, the gutter that this runs under so that I can boolean it out of the leg. All right, so at this point in time, this gutter built for the internal spaces of this particular object has been built. I'm going to take a look at it now. We're going to take this guy and move this guy into this guy. It should be straight up, and then we'll line it up directly dead center. All right, it's going to cut through the top of this knee. Should not be in the intakes of either side or the landing gear pod. It's not good. The intakes are going to have to take a little bit of a surreptitious route, kind of go through this surreptitious route. Circuitous is the word I'm looking for. I couldn't get it, but that was the word I was looking for. So now we're going to take this, and I'm going to say add a modifier. I take a boolean. I'm going to take the difference. I want to take the difference of this guy out of it. Right, I'm going to take and apply. The biggest problem I have with all of these things is that rarely, yeah, see, that looks like that went fine except for this side, which is way thin. Don't know how much I care for that. Yeah, I don't like these things that are wafer thin. So I think I'm going to undo this boolean. Yeah, see, it's cutting a whole bunch of that out. No, it's not. Let's not have that happen. It's cutting a ton of that top part out. So we're not going to change the Boolean cut. We're going to change this cut. so that there's more space out here. And if I want to change it later, I can. Because it's feeling a little more aggressive than I like it feeling in the general sense. So make this kind of this. Then I can take an object mode, difference, cut, U. And that cuts that a little bit better. Yep, that's what I thought. It was, to boot, really loose in there. Didn't need to be that loose. Which is fine. We'll go through and do this. Same thing over here. Then I can do this, make that not feel as abrupt. And now it looks pretty solid. Okay, there we go. All right. So there's the leg with the ball joint assembly in it, the upper leg piece. Now we need to figure out how to do bones. And this is something I've been kind of avoiding, but we need to build a rig. Rigging for beginners. There we go. I am watching a video on how to rig, because that's the way we do things nowadays. Oh, he already has a bone. Workspace and layout, so apparently that's not as hard as it looks. So let's go in here, take a look at this. Okay. This is perfect. It's actually talking about a landing gear. Shift S. All right. One of the things I think we do need to do, though, before we go here, let's go into edit mode, go into naked mode. We're going to have to put this circle in. Nothing else. It's going to want some kind of thing anyway. So I'm going to add a mesh. We're going to add a cylinder. Take this cylinder, bring it over here. Okay, I take this now, I'm going to put it in object mode. I take this guy, and we're going to Boolean him in. And this is going to make things kind of ugly. For a moment here, we really want to Boolean that one in. We unioned it, which means that it should be an object that's there, normal. And then we'll take this object that we just Booleaned out, this guy here, and move him to the bottom. Except I want to do it badly, apparently. This has to be looking kind of at the way it's set up. There we go. Now we just have a raised piece that indicates sort of that pinpoint on the leg where that joint goes through. And that's all we're really doing here, because he's talking about taking a surface and selecting that surface and then making the bone come from that place. He does everything so freaking fast. Mesh, armature. This is not. Okay, where is this armature? Oh, good. We have a bone. Look at us. Look at us doing something. We're getting somewhere. We're starting. That doesn't look right. You see, he put this. That's interesting. I'm watching him do all these things. I'm like, I didn't know you could do that, but okay. He's going way too fast. This is the problem I have with YouTube videos. First, you click this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and then this. See, it's so easy. And I'm like, could you just write it out? No. It's easier to do it in YouTube videos. So then it's, watch 1 second, hit pause. Watch 1 second, hit pause. Because we are 2 minutes, 23 seconds in, and he lost me so bad. I am so lost. And so it's like, I don't know how to make this armature do what it's supposed to do. Like, I don't know how to get the other side of it. I made one. See, then it puts me in face context mode. I don't need that. Add and mesh. And this is the problem. Like, everything is slightly different. With him, he right mouse clicked on here and it had mesh, and then he put add bone. Well, there's no add bone function here. There's no add mesh function. It goes somewhere else. It does something else. That didn't help us any. And that's fine. It's like everything. It's like you have to show me in a YouTube video, and there's only one way to do it, and then the program does not do that one way. And that's so frustrating to me. It's like, I just need to know the basics. Like, how do I get a bone to sit in here? Add, mesh. See, even in here, there's no... Nothing makes me feel more like this is a thing to do right now. Everything is a YouTube video. And everybody does the same thing. Click X and then B and then XX3, and then tab, then X1, prime, and click this and click, and right mouse click on this one so you can, and they're going so fast. It's like, 10 steps. It says begin at the hips. So we will begin over here at the hips, which is technically actually this piece right here. And probably should center the entire vehicle too. And now that I've built this, build the other side. Now, for the first time, we actually have all of the pieces of this feather working like it's supposed to. That's what it looks like underneath. That actually doesn't look bad. Probably should have built the landing gear before I did this, though. Because once this is done, I'm going to have to duplicate it. I guess I could duplicate the entire landing rig, but I don't know. Especially if I need to change it. Let's go ahead and build a landing gear first. We'll get to rigging here in a minute. But first, let's put gear in it. We'll come back to rigging here in a minute. All right. There. And it occurs to me that whatever we do, we should probably decide where does it sit on the road, so to speak. Because the front gear and the rear gear are going to have to sit somewhere properly. I don't think I want it to sit on this line. I think I want it to sit on this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a mesh and a cube. I'm just going to put it on this line right here to illustrate this is the ground. That way I don't have any problems with it later. Where did I put the ground? I don't know. All right, and the reason I did this was because now we have to build an actual armature for this rear wheel. We have to figure out where the heck it sits and lives inside here. So I think I just want the wheels to fold straight down. which should be fine. The first thing we need to probably do is add and then decide what we're doing with this. So I'm going to add a torus because toruses are wheels. Probably about that big, maybe. Doesn't need to be huge. But I think that's probably our best bet right there. Give or take. But this already means I can see that we need to be slightly larger on that intake. So that's fine. The next thing we'll do is come out here, select no, object, add, mesh. That's all one object. No. We have made a critical error. Now, try this again in object mode. The fact that I can do that is aggravating to me. You're like, what happened? So what I just did was I just made, by accident, this tire part of the road. Instead of because the two meshes were connected. Now these two are not connected. But I know I can already see I'm going to need a larger box for that. Which is fine. That's fine. I didn't. We can make these intakes inside here feed the engine slightly, and the engine's going to sit in this containment here. I've got room. Doesn't me. All right. Now what we have is we have a tire and a rim. It needs to fit inside that tire like so. So we can see it looking more like that. It's a little bit more than I want to do, so because the tire and the rim are sort of joined together. So what we're going to do is we're going to shrink it down a little bit more like so. And then I'm going to take and go into object mode. We're going to take just this side here. And we're going to extrude and then extrude again, and then extrude, and then extrude again. You're like, what are you doing? He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He's just playing around. So then we take you. We're going to select everything on this side. Scale it down to there and move it in. It's an alignment like so. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Take just these guys here and extrude them all the way down like so. And now we have a hub. Right? So that's what the wheel now looks like. Giving it a little bit more just hub effect. In general, these aircraft are going to be, or this model is either going to live its life as an airplane of some sort or something. Or I mean like as a static model or whatever, so the wheel never needs to turn. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into naked mode. So it occurs to me that what I can also do is invert this, which might be cool too. So I'll make it a little bit larger like so. And then move it down. We caught too many of those. I have to select it like this. Make it a little larger. And there. Now the hub looks more like that, the wheel. That covers the space brakes. We'll do the same thing here, but I'm not going to have to worry as much about this. This side just needs to be, because nobody's going to see this one easily. So this can just be this. The only problem is I feel like that tire should be bigger. Like it has a lot of weight on it. But we're not there yet. All right. So we're going to then go to object mode. Object mode. Sudden coughing fit. Ooh. We're going to onion these. All right. I'm going to take this guy and just remove him. So I like to make my pieces when I do Blender work, I really like to make my pieces feel like they are what they are. So, wow, I don't know what that coffin fit was, but boy, that was a thing. So I've made the tire and the wheel one unit, one object, because I really don't need more than that. We're going to go into edit mode though. I'm going to take the wheel and make it bigger on both sides, because it's got to land on some rough terrain, right? So I want it to look more like a wheel, and that looks more like a wheel, right? With a little bit more flat surface on either side. Now with this, I'm going to make the front landing gear the same way, using the same wheel. But I'm going to do it a different way, but I'm still going to use this wheel so that it's the same tire, so it doesn't look any different. So before I go any further, before I make the remainder of this landing gear, I'm going to put this up there for the front wheel too. The front wheel has a different structure around it, so we're going to have to build another piece for it, but that's okay. I don't have to worry about that much. We'll call this wheel. I'll have to come back to that gear at some point and deal with it. You can see already that that's going to be cool looking, especially since I like to do dragging wheels so that they drag. All right, back to you. First of all, you are turned the wrong way. Now we're going to place it where we want it. So I'm put it so that it's back and assemble and set here. It's going to fold forward to go back in. It's going to swing upward like this, which we'll have to fix then the landing or the doors to make sure that it works correctly, but that's all right. All right. Now that we've done this, what we're going to do is this. Go through here. I put it in edit mode, put it back in naked mode. This guy's got to come up to about, that's centered. So we're going to do this. We're going to hit E for an adjustment, and then E to go up into a larger piece of this landing gear piece. Then E again for an adjustment, and then E for just the nib of the other side of the landing rod. This center section we will make larger. I should make it larger than that. There we go. There we go. And now what we have is a strut piece and an attachment for the strut. So it looks like the wheel goes through the attachment on the strut. Not a problem. So next thing we will do is build the strut. Yeah. Okay, we'll build the strut. Go into object mode, add a mesh, cube. Bring the cube back here. edit mode, grab just the vertices that we're going to be messing with, align it to there-ish. This guy is aligned to there-ish. This guy aligned to here-ish. The space shuttle has a very, very straightforward landing system. It is a triangle piece with actually that's what we'll do here. I mean, not like I really think I'm worried about that this much, but just in case, I'll align it with its own internal system. Then I'll move the object. That way the strut can kind of be a little bit of a triangle kind of coming out here. Just to extra support our landing gear. So now this gear looks kind of like this. Right, we've got a little bit of extra support kind of coming down for it. And then all we're going to need is a crossbar going this way, which will be fine. Now with this model, because it's not a real model, I'm going to make the crossbar fixed. Actually, I could make that crossbar part of the landing door. That'd be kind of interesting, as if it was piece of the crossbar was that landing door in the front there. Let's see what we can do about that. I'm going to put this in naked mode. We need to first make this piston unit. This unit right here is the big pivot for this. So I'm going to make sure I'm out of edit mode and into object mode and then hit that. Then we're going to add a mesh, and this is a cylinder. All right. And technically, this is all one big piece, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into object mode. Take you, Boolean you, onion to you. Makes some sense. Apply. You take you, I'm going to delete you, right? You take you, which is now one piece. Let's do the same thing. We take a Boolean, onion, and there. And then we accept that, and we say it's good, and we take this guy, and we delete him. And now what we have is a stupid move because we forgot to look the other direction. Now, we'll take this lock piece here, put it right between those two. And we'll do this. Short all the way at the end, and short all the way at the end. That way, this crossbar now sits between these two somewhere. Now, object mode. You. Onion. You. There. That's much more like it. Now, this landing strut is one unit, complete with its wheel. Major reason I want to do that, major reason, is because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything on this wheel, which is right now centered here. I'm going to go into edit mode and select the whole mess. I'm going to drop it down until that circle piece is in the center, or the pivot point is in the center of the upper arm. There. Well, that's a mess. Let's see that. Hope you're okay over here. Anyway, so doing that is what we're at this point doing, is we're trying to get that center piece lined up with the center of the wheel. There we go. The reason we're doing that now is that when we go to object mode, we go like this, and we place it back into its spot here, where it belongs, right here. Now, when I cycle and rotate the gear, it rotates around that pivot point, and that gives us a good idea of where this gear needs to sit when it's fully brought back in, right? No matter which way we look at it, we have pieces of this piece now that need to give way or have space enough that that wheel well can hold it. It's not in the way of the engine, but it is in the way, plausibly, of the folding parts of. Yeah, so we need to move also over. It's not in the way of the engine piece, but it is in the way of this folding outer leg piece. So now the gear is folded back up and into the frame of the vehicle. I can actually push it right all the way here. Let's get it as close as we can to one side there. Now that it's in this frame of the vehicle, we've got issues. Okay. You can kind of see here, sitting inside there, inside this well. The well's not deep enough, obviously, but also we may have it popping through. I guess we don't need to have it popping through there, but the well needs to be bigger anyway. So let's go ahead and go here. What we're going to do now is, now that we've done this, we've set it up and make sure it's exactly where it needs to be. Now I'm going to switch to this object and go to edit mode. And the first thing we want to do is lose track of things, which we always do. Is we're only going to select, it's going to be kind of complicated because we need to figure out a way to just grab this. That's all we need. It needs to go here. And here's where things get kind of tricky. Because what really needs to happen here is just a little bit of a push. Right here. Not a lot, just a little bit of a push. Just enough that clears inside there. Right, so now it's inside that bay correctly and completely. Now all we need to do is make the bay come up. But I only want the bay, see, this is an intake, or this is part of that cut, that wedge. So I don't want all of it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to select just this guy. And I'm going to say extrude up and then extrude again. Okay. This gives me this upper piece here, which I can now shrink. And then from the top, take it and move it over so that it's on top of the wheel. In other words, I'm making the wheel compartment have a raised piece that raises above the wheel, but doesn't need to have the rest of it. So this compartment now, which is this and this, can now be resized to fit the wheel. Thus ensuring the wheel assembly is correct and together and there and with it. And in fact, just seeing how the wheel fits in here, I can even give a little bit more space to our intake manifolds, which are around there. But right now, at this point, we're doing good. This guy needs to move forward just a smidge. There we go. Now the wheel fits in its own wheel set, a wheel container. Wheelie it does. See, now it fits all nice and pretty in there, doesn't it? That looks so pretty. Looks like we meant to do that and everything. Even looking at the bottom here, I can do some kind of just this kind of thing here, just kind of shrink it down. Engineers would have done this in real life. They would have maximized the space that we need for this. So the wheel fits in its own little box. It's all good. Everything's fine. Oop. But not you. There. Now, the landing gear has its own space. It just lives in this zone. Which actually, now that I'm looking at it, I want a little bit more room for this door to close on it so that we can have room for that space door. The landing gear door. So I'm going to raise this up just a little bit and go into object mode and click you and then raise you up just a little bit too. And that gives me room to put in this door. And that's what we're after here. That's what these divots are, is space for doors. Okay. We'll extend the gear to its locked position, down and locked. And then we will make the forward strut. because there needs to be another strut coming forward to hold this gear. But since, like I said, this is just going to be for a comic book piece, I'm not going to go through and build the entire strut. Besides, I don't want to anyway. They don't look very good if I build the strut. With a I'm just gonna have to think this through. This stretch should probably be here. I don't know. I do know I need to come up with a way to make sure that it fits properly, but all we need is enough of a strut that people go, oh, okay, it's got a strut, you know. It doesn't feel awkward or strange. It just feels like that's that strut that holds that together, and it's all good. Everything's fine. And then it won't matter. Go to object mode, and then whenever I raise this, I can make sure that the gear comes up and in without that strut popping out somewhere. Oh, can't see it anywhere. That's perfect. Because it doesn't matter where the strut goes in the real spacecraft, of course, that's in the middle of its intake manifold, but this isn't a real spacecraft. This is a model that I use for my comics, so I don't need to worry about that much. So the strut can sit in there like that, and it's fine. Move you up like so you're up here in the bay all the way, and that's the name of that tune. All right, we've done that. So we've built a landing gear strut. I'm going to add a mesh, another cube. It's time for us to start building in on the doors. The doors aren't that big of a deal. Go into edit mode. Do this. Why is it going into... Now that dot there indicates the pivot. So I'm going to use that. I know I want it to pivot there. So I'm going to pivot like so. I'm not going to bother with rounding off these corners because nobody's going to see that much detail. So I am, however, going to seal it up. It's always important. This door goes all the way to this pivot point right here. Not a pivot point, to the point where the metal of the leg moves across this way, because there's it's shaped kind of with a point. It's kind of hard to see, but you know, right here it's sort of got this point. So this is one door here that goes from this point to this point. The other door then covers this side. So let's go this way. We're going to then go like so, ish. Doesn't really matter at this point. We're going to then move it into position. Now it matters. So, okay, we're going to go here and here. We're going to then go into edit mode. And we're actually going to do this. There we go. So part of this door is now coming along. Is a weird shape, but the idea is to fit inside here. So now we've got this door that covers. At this point in time, that's not so bad. That's one door. I'm going to call that the left, rear, front, gear door. We'll now do this again. We'll go back into object mode and then say add the cube. We'll bring it over here. Same thing as before. I'm going to bring this in to about here, to about, I don't know, here or so. Then we're going to have to, not do that. Now we're going to have to take it and go into object mode and put the pivot point right here in the center of that piece. That way we know where it is. We're going to have to go on this side and do the same thing. Move the pivot point until it is right here, because this time this thing swings a different direction. So going to edit mode, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, like that. All right. Here we go. Now we've put the door in. The doors work on either side. We need to do some, some minor fixing, but everything is good. Actually, I think I will let this come all the way up until it gets close to the wheel, because there's no reason to not have extra armor in here. I mean, it's a weak spot in the spacecraft. Any place where you have armor, armor is getting kind of, make sure that's not inside the wheel. That is inside the wheel. The wheel is now inside that. So, but we can drop this down a little bit, and then that'll be a little easier on it. Just to double check, go inside here. The wheel should be sitting up against that door. Yep, looks pretty good. Now I'm getting some kind of weird side chatter here, but I think that's only because these doors may not actually be inside the box totally. Says me looking at this going, like it should be here. And maybe even a little like that. Just saying. Same thing over here. It's nice that these guys are snug, but all right. So this door now closes, that door now closes, all should be good. I go to object mode and open these doors. Oh, that's kind of cool. Sort of gives that wheel a skirt. Even down and locked, it's still got a little bit of a skirt. That's kind of cool. So that's what the wheel looks like extended. And that door gives it just a little bit of a skirt, which I think is cool. That's going to look pretty kick butt. All right. Now I think the leg might be actually done. All right. So we've got all the gear doors in. Ow. And the gear. So I'm going to go ahead and take all three of these guys and parent them to the lower leg. Right, that way when the lower leg moves, we move the landing wheel too. It's all one unit. Which means that we can do things now, like put this back on its joint position. And now it should be all hooked into the correct location. And for the first time, we'll be able to now actually do the copy paste that I wanted to do before. That just copied its leg. It didn't copy any of the things that followed it. All right. So the trick to flipping stuff is you do this, which is kind of weird. Now, for the first time, we can see what this is going to look like with the undercarriage down. This is where I'm like, does it look mean enough? An undercarriage may not. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. There's pieces of this that make it feel almost like it doesn't quite fit. For the most part, I'm okay with it, but it does still kind of, like it doesn't quite make it. And so I'm trying to figure out what to do about that. Like, do I feel like these need this whole section up here kind of needs to be dropped down a little? A little bit meaner. I don't think we're ever going to really know for sure until the cockpit door is on, until the hatch. Come on, it's not the hatch, it's canopy. Until the canopy is on. I won't be 100% sure I've got this straightened out till the canopy is on because it'll be difficult for us to see. It'd be kind of hard to see any of that anyway. We're gonna have more space. We're gonna need to take out of that nose too, because that front wheel is gonna be a dragger. So the post is gonna come down here, and it's gonna go this way, at a 90-degree angle to drag that wheel. And that one's gonna be on a pivot. All right, well, I'm kind of stuck here for a minute or two. Not 100% sure I like where we've gone with this guy, and I'm kind of worried that I might not want those wheels to be that size. I may want them to be larger. It's not a lot of undercarriage to land on. Which is something I'm kind of wondering about. But that's okay. I'll get there at some point. But until then, I'm going to go on ahead and head on out. I've got to drive today, so I'm going to have kids in the driving seat this afternoon. So need to kind of prep for that. In the meantime, I'm trying to figure out, what do I want to do with this? Still trying to decide whether I want to put vertical stabilizers on it or not. Not 100% sure about that either. All right, well, that's where we are. I'm going to get going. I will see you all later. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you Sunday night. And as always, keep your eyes on the stars. Good night.